Sorry about that. So on your outline, in your bulletin, and you can roll the screen up now if you want. We're looking at this, instead of a long book, we're looking at this little postcard called Jude. And Jude, again, is writing to these people that were under the covenant, likely, under the covenant, Jews, Hebrews, locals, and now have become under the teaching that you can do whatever you want. Luke 15. You don't have to go there. If you can, if you want. But in your outline, the little space there is for chapter 15. It's the lost chapter. It's the lost coin, the lost sheep, and the lost son. I want you to focus. You've heard that story most likely. If not, you can read it later. You know the story of the prodigal son. Dad, I want my money. You're still alive. So there's some disrespect there. There's some greed there. There's some selfishness there. Dad, I want my money. Divide your inheritance and I'll take it. So he does it. The father is giving. The father is charitable. I think if it was me, I might have just kicked the son out of the house. But no, he divides his estate. And the son goes and squanders his money in a faraway country. Enjoys the good time while he has it. Enjoys the money. Has all kind of friends. You've been there. You've seen it anyway. You have the money, you have the friends. There's a famine in the land. The money dries up. The party dries up. The friends dry up. And the scriptures say when he came to his senses, when he woke up, when you woke up, and you returned to the Father, you know what he was doing when he woke up? He was feeding pigs. That's offensive to Jews. We had friends from college, ran a pig farm. We went to visit them. We stayed, 3 or 4 nights in a camper around the pig farm. There might have been a fly or two. It stunk. And it was a stink that, kind of like my son yesterday, he stunk so bad, both on the golf course and his body. To the point where his girlfriend wouldn't even hug him. Oh, JP, you stink. And I said, do not sit on the furniture. Do not sit on the furniture. You need a shower. You needed a shower. You were stinky. And when this man came to his senses, he went back and he just pleaded, if I could just stay in the servants' quarters, if you just treat me like, no. What does the father do? Puts a robe on him. Do you guys recognize these clothes at all? These are the clothes I wore last week. I wore this exact outfit last week at a wedding. I told you about the wedding. It was an outdoor wedding. The clothes last Sunday, these were pretty stinky, but I wore them anyway. And guess what I did Monday morning? I washed these clothes. And guess what's going to happen tomorrow morning? Because the instant I put this same shirt on, with the heat of today, this shirt will need water. It's soiled. I don't care how clean you think you are. I don't care how good you think your life is. You're polluted. Some of that pollution just lands on you. Some of that pollution comes from within you. I don't know your heart. I don't know your mind. I don't know your thoughts and feelings. But I do know this. Everyone needs Jesus. Everyone needs Jesus. I sat on the Millhouse porch, and if you're familiar with Camp Christian, right up on the hill there, most of you are. Sat on that Millhouse porch in 1991, in the summer of 1991, and I daydreamed with another 2 or 3 other guys. We daydreamed of the power of camp on Turbo Boost. camp has a unique power because you go away from the world, and before cell phones, you go completely away from the world. And now it's not fair. With cell phones and those who have service up there, they're just keeping in touch and they're texting. But there's a Sabbath, there's a fasting from the world, and the injection of God and godly things. So we daydreamed about, wouldn't it be great to have a massive budget? If you're in charge of a week of camp, if you're dean of a week of camp, back in 91, you had either was a 50 or 150, something. It was just nominal as the dean's fund to spend at your discretion. I bought a lot of water balloons for the kids to get wet, and we bought a lot of snacks for the adults to get fat. That's what we did. But we daydreamed. And the daydream was, what if we went to another venue? What if we went off-site from Camp Christian? And instead of 80, 100, 120 kids at a week of camp, what if we had hundreds? What if we had 600 or 700 kids? And what if we charged them, I think a week of camp back then was $125. I said, what if we charged them like $300 and just have this massive budget? Within 6 years, one of those guys, Bill, got a job at Kentucky Christian College. If you'll turn all the lights off except these spots. Bill got a job at Kentucky Christian College. Student dean. He was in charge of all the students at college. And what he did was he took this dream of great budget, great kids, number of kids, and we had what they called Summer in the Sun. I don't know if you've ever heard that program, but what it ended up being was 600 to 700 kids on this campus with a $170,000 per week budget. Did that 5 or 6 weeks in a row. And I want you to imagine some things on largeness. So here we are on a college campus with a college gymnasium and college grounds. So I want you to think large. And they contracted an outside vendor to do the food. So it wasn't college food, it was good food. So we had this big property, big building, great food. We brought in contracted folks that brought in not just bouncy house type stuff. We brought in one of those Velcro walls. Remember, like David Letterman used to do? You put the suit on, you hop, 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 and you go try to see how high you can stick to the wall. So we had big games. Our youth group, we rented pontoon boat every time we were down there. We went on Kentucky Lake, or Grays Lake. We went Grays Lake, and there's cliff diving nearby, so our youth group got to go on a boat, got to jump off cliffs, got to near kill people. That's always fun. They brought in big name speakers. They brought in big name music groups. Another Christian comedian and I, we did some comedy bits. Large, 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 spotlights, bright, loud. Some of that music was loud volume. And unbeknownst to anybody, all of a sudden the house lights went down. And the only thing that was out there was a stool. And some guy had to be escorted out. This guy was weak and feeble and lame, kind of like Mike. I had to get a dig in.
I had to.
Actually, very opposite of Mike. This man was thinning. This man was gaunt. And this man was, the best I can come up with is otherworldly. He was in front of all these kids, but he was so absent. He was changing his citizenship from living on this planet to living on another. And they had to scoot him over to sit down. Now, he was probably only 35 or 40. And they sat him down. And he started just, and I can't play, I wish I could, but he just started strumming. It's a song we didn't know. A lot of the songs that these groups would play, the kids would stand up, and the hands would go up, and the cheers, and you've been there. This was anything but. So you have a room full of 700-800 people now with the adults, and you can hear a pin drop. That doesn't happen with youth. It was just quiet as could be. And he shared his testimony. And his testimony was, and he couldn't finish because he was getting too choked up, but his testimony was, don't want to break what I don't own. His testimony was that he was an up-and-coming musician from California, that he had, if you want to talk about Ecclesiastes come to life, that he had the fame, relative fame, that he had the following of girls, that he had the drug abuse that went with the party lifestyle, raised in a Christian home. Are you with me? I would say, if I'm going to guess of the profile of this room right here, I'm going to guess 90% of us or more were raised in a Christian home. Or you drive by houses where they raise their kids in Christian home. And like many, Luke 15, the prodigal son, people just drift away or people run away from God. Our culture is running away from God to their demise. And that's what this guy was doing. Then he contracted AIDS. And he doesn't know whether it was from the drug life or the party life. He doesn't know. AIDS is not nearly as deadly now as it was in 89, 90, 91. And there he was. Young people, I want you to pay attention. And when I say young people, I'm saying under 35. If you go to a lake and you throw a rock in that lake, what happens? It makes waves. There are consequences from a rock going in water. If you do an action in your life, if you choose a behavior in your life, it doesn't just happen in the adult world, they say, in a void. It doesn't just happen and there's no effect. If you lie, if you steal, if you sin in any way, and you rationalize it by saying, well, as long as I'm not hurting anybody, it's none of your business. That is a false conclusion on your part. You do nothing without ramifications. If you throw a rock in the water, it makes waves. This man was forgiven of his sin, came back from the Lord, from the party world, came back to the Lord, confessed, wiped his soul clean. Have you been there? I have. And then what happens is he puts back on dirty clothes, or he does something that makes his clothes dirty, just like you and I. We say, oh, Greg, my clothes don't stink like that stuff. And I thought, well, maybe those clothes don't stink that bad. I put these clothes in, Tim watched me, I put these clothes in my office at around 9 o'clock, no, about 8:45. I came back upstairs an hour later, and the doors were closed, and it was stinky in there. Now, my history, your history may have been pretty stinky. Your history may not have been too stinky. These clothes won't be too dirty, but they will be. On some level, look right here. Needing to be cleansed from Jesus, by Jesus. I don't care how good you are, you're not good enough. And I think what we do is I think we cheapen this table. You guys who are going to serve today, I think we have on there Bill, if you'll come forward. I think we have Steve, he's not here today. Who's the other ones we have listed? Sam and Barry. Sam may or may not be able to come forward. Barry's away on vacation. So if I can have 4 guys come forward. Bill, and three others. Just come forward, and if you guys will have a seat on the front pew. And I'll pretty much have our communion meditation. Sam, I got the communion meditation too. Yeah. Refocus your energy, refocus your thoughts here. This guy was there that summer of '97. And what happened with the house lights was intentional. They went from bright, shining, loud, to the exact opposite, to dark, to focused on him. And at his request, he sang this song. And I think it's hymn number 588. It's taken from hymn number 588 in our hymnals. But he changed it. He took one line of the song, "Give Me Jesus." And it kind of went like this. And you know I don't sing with much confidence. Don't focus on how I sing. Focus on what he sang. In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. In the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. You can have all this that the world wants to give, but in the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. In the evening when I dine, in the evening when I dine, give me Jesus. And then the house lights went out. Nothing on him. And they had a communion table that no one noticed, tucked on the corner of the stage. Indicative, I think, a metaphor for what we do with God. Put him in a corner, don't pay much attention to him, and then this light came on this thing. And it was a brilliant light. And when I come to die, and when I come to die, your business won't get you to heaven. Your estate won't get you to heaven. Your possessions won't get you to heaven. Your good deeds at church won't get you to heaven. What gets you to heaven is Jesus Christ. And no matter how good you are, my scripture tells me that our righteousness is as what before the Lord? Is as filthy rags. And we can try, and we can try, and we can try. But when it's all said and done, you need Jesus. And sinners, and I call you sinners, and myself, you need Jesus. If you are outside of Jesus, if you've heard of him, but don't claim him, there's a scripture there where the response of someone in front of Jesus is, I believe, help me in my non-belief. Well, that's a unique sentence. You may be in that position where I've heard of Jesus, I believe in Jesus, but I don't need to get all crazy. Well, you do need to get all crazy. Well, you need to get all laying out before the Lord crazy and claim Jesus. So if you guys will come forward, we'll have Mike, if you'll have a word of prayer and then distribute. Sam and Bill.